Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of Meet the Maker Mondays. I am Sarah Harvell, the metalsmith and maker behind Ravena Metalworks. And today I am going over the origins of me as an artist and how Ravena Metalworks came to be. So let's just dive right in. So where I am from influences my art a lot. I grew up in the country. I am from Indian Valley, Floyd, Virginia. It's in the Appalachian Mountains, and I played outside a lot. I grew up in the country, so we did not have all the modern day distractions that we have now by any means. And so my entertainment was playing outside when it was nice, and then when it wasn't nice outside, I was inside doing arts and crafts like Play-Doh, painting, drawing, just anything to entertain myself. And I didn't really realize I had a talent for art until I went to school and people started recognizing me just drawing on the backs of my worksheets and people saying, "Oh, that looks really good." And so that's where my dream of being an artist was born. And so I decided to go to college. And I went to Radford University. I got my bachelor in fine arts there, and I went to East Carolina University for my master's, and I graduated from there in 2016. And after that, I was just so creatively burned out. It's really hard to go from that transition from the academic world to the real world, and I was a newlywed as well. I got married in the summer of 2016, and I think just trying to survive in general and trying to be creative at the same time is a struggle. So I drifted there for a couple of years, and I really wanted to get back to the origins of why I wanted to be an artist in the first place and what first inspired me. And that was the native flora and fauna that I grew up around. So that was birds and trees and flowers. And so I started getting back to that, going outside more and doing sketches of everything that I saw. And so I figured out my aesthetic for my metalwork, and I had to come up with a brand name. And that's really hard to do because Sarah Harvell Designs just didn't, to me, have enough substance. And so I started playing around with crow and raven because that's my favorite animal. I've always been fascinated by crows and ravens. And they were always around when I was growing up. I drew them all the time in tree branches, and they were always around. They're very common, and they're my favorite animal. So I wanted my brand to reflect that. So that's where Ravena came from. It sounds a lot like my name, Sarah. And so that was born in 2018. And I just started out as a basic website. It was more like a portfolio type. And I was trying to create a body of work, a cohesive body of work. And so I did that for about 2 years. And then in January of 2020, I had my official website makeover, relaunch, revamp, whatever you want to call it, and brand launch. And of course, we all know what happened in 2020. And I had the plans to do all these outdoor markets and go to all these galleries and shops to put my work in. And obviously that didn't happen. So I had to pivot. And so I really dove headfirst into marketing myself digitally as an artist and really how to build a good website, an e-commerce website, social media marketing, paid marketing, organic marketing, all the things. And so learning all of that actually led me to my 2 current day jobs. So in 2021, I was hired as the e-commerce specialist at Piedmont Craftsman. It's a nonprofit guild and gallery. And then in 2023, I was hired at Saslow's and Hennebree's Diamond Jewelers. It's a chain of jewelry stores. And I work at their corporate office. And so both those day jobs, I'm their web developer, designer, social media marketing, B2B marketing, graphic design, all that good stuff. And it's very adjacent to what I do as a metalsmith because I can make my work, but I also have to market myself. So I really love gaining all of those skills, being able to teach that to other artists. And I do a lot of freelance work with that. And I really, really enjoy it. So I'm very lucky to have 2 day jobs that don't drive me crazy. And they're a lot of fun. And so now I'm just living my best creative life. And so, yeah, that's like the origins of Ravena Metalworks. So thank you so much for coming and letting me share my story with y'all. Next week, I am going to take y'all on a studio tour. So behind me is just my bench area. It's one area of my studio. I have a 2-bedroom apartment, so my studio is in my spare bedroom. So I have a room all to myself, finally. So next week, I will take y'all on a studio tour. So thank you so much for coming this episode, and I will see y'all next week. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Meet the Maker Mondays. I am Sarah Harvell, the metalsmith and maker behind Ravena Metalworks. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and if you're on social, like, follow, and share.